I'm Jo Clark, and thanks so much for joining me today. This is the Redefining Midlife podcast, a podcast designed for the 40-plus woman who is determined to challenge society's myths and beliefs around midlife. It's for the woman who is inspired and ready to define midlife her way. Join me each week as I chat to health and wellness experts for up-to-date information on how to live well as some special conversations with incredible everyday women redefining what midlife can look like. Here's to making our next half of life even better than the first. In the last episode, I chatted with psychologist Jane Jameson about the role of motherhood. We covered a lot of topics, including the differences in family dynamics and how the role of being a mother changes over the years. Now, I know at this time of year, there are lots of mums who are dealing with some big transitions. Children starting school, children moving to high school, children leaving home for boarding school, children leaving home for university or work, to travel or to spread their wings. Now, every single major life stage or transition that your child enters also means that you have one as well. And I'm sure many of you can identify with at least one of those scenarios and how you felt. I've experienced them all firsthand, so I know that they can be incredibly difficult and emotional. And yes, these transition times affect fathers as well, but they tend to affect mothers differently. What's happened is that the path you were on was familiar and it had a certainty about it. You knew what your role was, what you had to do. You knew so much about your child at that point in time. And now suddenly it's been turned upside down. There's a new path ahead that's totally different and it can feel daunting, out of control, and you might feel unsure on what to do and where to start on this stage of life. And for many women, this transition can be just one of many that are happening at the same time. So today I want to talk about the ways that we can start to prepare for and deal with these big transition times that happen as a parent, and particularly focus on how to deal with an empty nest once the children have left home. Now, even if this might be a long way off for you right now, or it's something that you've already experienced, I can guarantee that there are still things that I'm going to talk about today that you could start, continue on, or even improve. Putting all of these ideas into practice will help you cope when these big transitions happen. And even though it can be a challenging and an emotional time of life, it really is a great opportunity for your own personal growth and discovery of who you are, besides just being a mum. Now, I privately mentor women who are going through this stage, and it really can be such an amazing experience to help them explore all the different aspects and layers as they rediscover themselves and reimagine a new future. But I really don't want to downplay just how damn hard it can feel and be, especially in the early stages of when your children leave. It's important to acknowledge just how much you're going to miss your child and the sadness that you're going to feel. But then if you only dwell on the negatives, it's not going to help you move through this stage. So shining a light on the positives and all the endless opportunities that lie ahead of you is a great way to help you cope, and it can also give you a new and a different lease on life. In fact, saying yes to something new or to something different is often what can help you the most. Now, help some of the 5 stages that I give to you during this episode is going to help you prepare for this stage, or at least help you move through it a little bit more easily. But before I go on any further, just in case you've got absolutely no idea what I mean when I'm talking about an empty nest, it just simply means the stage in life when parents find themselves living at home without their children because the kids have just grown up and they've moved out of the family home. Now, life can be super busy when you've got children at home, and if you're also juggling work and school, it's a lot. And the first strategy that can help is for you to explore some new or perhaps revisit some old hobbies and interests. Now, maybe this is the perfect time that you could look into something that you've been wanting to do for a long time. And the list of possibilities is absolutely endless. So I just kind of encourage you to explore some ideas and options. Here are just a few of the ideas that might help you. Start to explore your creative side. Now, maybe for you, that's visual arts. Maybe it's painting, drawing, or sculpture. Looking at joining a local arts class or trying one of the many sip and paint workshops that are available is another idea. For others, this might look different. Perhaps it's writing or learning an instrument or dancing. There are just so many options that you could try. And when I'm mentoring with my ladies, we really explore this strategy together. And it's so inspiring to see them find a lot of joy and positivity when they do work on this area. For some women, they pick up art supplies and they begin drawing or painting again and remember that they used to love doing that in years gone by. I've worked with other women who start playing an instrument that they haven't played in years. Now, one of my ladies started a dance class and she absolutely loved it. It ticked lots of boxes for her. She got a new and a different form of exercise, which she loves. And she also joins the other women from the class for coffee afterwards. And she's met a brand new group of like-minded women. Now, if none of those ideas interest you, then perhaps you could find a book club to join. Book clubs bring a lot of benefits. You've got the social side of joining as well as sharing the reading experiences with other people. And it's great for your brain to read more and to discuss the book with others. If it's hard finding a book club, then there are ones online that you could join, or you could even start your own. Book clubs often really become a really tight-knit social group, and they can give you another support system to help you through this time. Maybe you want to get outside because you're an outdoorsy person. Well, perhaps you could get into the garden or find a gardening group. There are lots of therapeutic benefits of gardening and being close to nature. So if you don't have the space for a garden, maybe you could try potting up some things or join a community garden where you also get the benefit of beautiful fresh produce and meeting other people. Nurturing your passions and your hobbies really supports your emotional well-being and it helps you to cope that little bit more. It can also give you a sense of fulfillment and a sense of identity beyond that of the role of parent. And finally, spending time on a hobby can just be fun. It's a simple way to pass time and relieve stress. So I really encourage you to take the first step in exploring or maybe even rediscovering the idea of hobbies and interests, whether it's signing up for a class, joining a club, or starting your own personal project. This can really be a great opportunity for self-discovery. And after all of these years, it's just doing something for yourself. Now, the second strategy is one that's very close to my heart, and that is to focus on your health and wellness. Now, this is an area that we should focus on no matter what our age. But if you've got an empty nest right now, then you're definitely at an age where the experts all agree that you should be prioritizing your health and your wellness. It's not going to only help you now, but it's going to improve your health outcomes for the future. This was one area that I personally needed to focus my attention on when my kids left home, and I began to add new wellness elements into my day. Here are a few things that you might consider to add into yours. Perhaps you can start a regular exercise or movement routine. Now, we know there are so many physical benefits to exercise, but the mental benefits of regular exercise can really boost your mood, it can increase your energy levels, and it can give you better sleep that can help you through those early stages of an empty nest. So add some form of movement to your day. Make a commitment to yourself and follow through. Maybe you could start a new form of exercise that you've been wanting to try for a long time. Yoga, dance, Pilates, joining a gym. It can also be another avenue for you to meet new people, especially if your child's school was a social outlet for you. And you could also use this transition time to add in practices that help to manage stress. So some simple mindfulness practices like meditation, like deep breathing or mindful walks, they can all make such a huge difference to your mood, to your stress levels, and to your overall health. Another idea that comes to mind when I think about this is the idea of exploring healthy new recipes. It is so easy to stick with the same recipes at mealtimes because you know the kids are going to eat your favorites, and then you end up getting stuck into that same rut. So now perhaps you can start getting a little bit more adventurous. Start seeing cooking as a form of self-care and add some different nutritious meals into your week. Now, as with all new goals and activities that you want to incorporate into your life, you're going to have a lot more success if you start small, set realistic goals, make it fun and interesting. You've got support and you stay accountable. Now that's a lot and it's a tall order for the majority of people, which is why they don't always follow through for very long. And if you listen back to my episode on New Year's resolutions, I go into this in a lot of depth. Now, because it's so tricky, it's something that I actually created an online health and wellness membership for. And this is called Better Than Before, or BTB is what we shorten it to. Now, BTB has been designed especially for women, and it helps them to create a personalized wellness plan to suit their needs. It ticks all of the boxes that we talk about. So my members learn how to create their own wellness plan, and they work towards reaching their health goals, as well as receiving lots of support, resources, and accountability. But one of the most special aspects that we've got of BTB is that we've got a community of other women who are so supportive of each other. The women in my group have found just how much easier it is to reach their goals and what a positive difference it's made to their health and wellness. We'd love to invite you to our group, so head to my website, joclarkcoaching.com, or go to the link in the show notes for information on how to join Better Than Before. And one of the biggest things that I found after my kids left school was the hole that was left in our social world. There were lots of opportunities to meet up with other parents over the years through sport, through cultural activities, or school functions. And then all of a sudden, when they left, there were big spaces left in our social calendar. So the third strategy for you is to start thinking about how you're going to fill that new void. Now, this is a really great opportunity perhaps for you to reconnect with your partner. Decide how that might look for you. Maybe it's going on date nights or weekend getaways with your partner. Perhaps it's about making an effort to reconnect with old friends, calling them up, arranging for coffee catch-ups. Connecting with others has got such a positive impact on our emotional well-being, and that flows on to our health in general. You could also make an effort in meeting new people, and you could do that with some of those suggestions I made earlier. Now, the fourth strategy for you to investigate is to look at your own personal and/or professional development. And once the kids have left home, all of a sudden you might find you've got that extra time and space, and it can be filled with all sorts of things that really don't add up to being much. So I encourage you to begin using this time to learn rather than filling up what's on Instagram and on Facebook, is to start to learn who you are now in this new phase of life, as well as starting to think about how you want your next half of life to look, to be, and to feel. Now, for me personally, I found this was a massive time of personal growth. Because I'd been on a constant treadmill for so long, I really hadn't considered what I wanted in my future life. And I wasted quite a bit of time going around in circles, spinning my wheels, and not sure what I'm going to do or where to even start. And to be honest, it's not the best feeling to do that. But over time, and with me actively taking courses, having time off work, testing out new ways of thinking and living, I got clear. I actually went further than many women did. And for me, I left my long-term career to create and start a business that helps other women to rediscover their purpose, health, and passion in a way that speeds up that process for them. I am so excited for my next stage of life, and I want nothing more than for you to feel that as well. So start looking at the possibilities of new goals and aspirations for yourself. Maybe you could take up a course. Maybe you can get a different certification. Maybe you could explore a new career path. But what I'd like for you to do is to ask yourself or journal these three big questions. The first one is, how do you want to feel? Then the second one is, what do you want to do? And the third one is, who do you want to be? Now, these are probably questions you haven't asked yourself for a very long time, but they're such important ones. Your 40s and your 50s are a time of so many changes, physically, emotionally, spiritually. It's also a time when you begin to see life differently. For many women, it's an awakening, and for others, it's actually a time of reckoning. Now, I know it can be hard to know what you really want, where to start, or what steps to take, and it can make you feel overwhelmed. And that's when mentoring can truly help. One thing I've seen with the women I mentor and the work that they do is that they go from feeling lost and overwhelmed to feeling empowered and clear on their next phase of life.
They rediscover and they learn more about themselves, their body, and how to plan for their future with support and guidance. Now, I've been down this road, so I understand what it's like, and I've put all of what I've learned into fast tracking and making it more simple for other women. After all of my years of working as a teacher, I actually have a superpower. I can easily create and deliver programs just for you. I know how to put together the right expert information for you and to how to fast track your progress. And I know how to best support you. Now, if mentoring is something that you haven't considered or is something that you would like to explore, then I invite you to book a complimentary chat with me. You can easily book a time to chat with me by clicking on the link on my website or go to the show notes for the direct link. Now, the fifth and final strategy is for you to look at your empty nest with brand new eyes. And by that, I mean use this time to transform your home into a space designed less for kids and more for you in this stage of life. Now, even though you might miss that mess and the chaos of having kids at home for a while, over time, you're going to begin to love the cleaner and tidier spaces and the extra time that that gives you. So could you put time and energy towards decluttering? Well, perhaps you could. Perhaps you could even redecorate and zhuzh up some different rooms, including creating an updated look for the bedrooms of your children who are now young adults. Perhaps you could organise or repurpose other rooms for your new hobbies or activities. It really is all about exploring the concept of empty nesting as a new beginning and creating a new look for your home, and creating a new environment for that to happen can absolutely help with the transition. Now, before we wrap up today's episode, I'll quickly go through the 5 ways or strategies to help you cope with an empty nest. The first strategy is to explore some new or perhaps revisit some of your old hobbies and interests. The second strategy is to focus on your health and your wellness. The third strategy is all about connection. Reconnect with your partner and old friends and start exploring ways that you can make new friends. The fourth strategy is to focus on your personal and or your professional development. And the fifth and final strategy is to look at your home and how it looks with some fresh eyes. Now, I really do hope that this episode has given you some ideas on what you can do to make this phase of life easier for you, giving you a different perspective and to see it as a chance to rediscover yourself. I'd also love you to know that you aren't alone and that even though it might be a tough time right now, there's a beautiful new stage of life waiting for you on the other side. And if you need any extra support, remember you can always head to my website or go to the show notes to book a connection call or to join us in the Better Than Before membership. Now, until next week, take care.
Thanks so much for listening and sharing your time with me today. I'd love you to hit subscribe on Apple Podcast or your favourite podcast app to keep spreading these empowering messages. Please share this podcast with other incredible midlife women in your world. Join me again next week for another redefining midlife conversation. Thanks again for tuning in.